taken away.
Yeah.
Fascinating conversation. Hello, good morning, and thanks for joining us. My name is Jennifer Casselson with Build Exact, and we'll get started here in just a minute. Hi, Dennis, Jennifer, and Matt. Let us know where you're calling in from. The chat is open, and we welcome any insights, questions, input via the chat anytime. And we are going to get started. Again, my name is Jennifer Casselson. I'm the Vice President of Partner Programs at Build Exact, and very excited about our very esteemed panel today. We have Craig Webb, who is the President of Webb Analytics, Yaser Masoudnia, who is the co-founder and CEO at BlueTape, and Shannon Vogel, the owner of Reach Social. So we're going to be able to learn from each one of them about their subject matter expertise, and very excited to, I see the chat blowing up, so thanks again. Thanks for joining us, you guys, and please let me know if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and let us know where you're calling in from. So today we're going to talk about the various inputs that are going to impact how you are looking at today's and tomorrow's marketplace, and so you can build your strategy around that. It's very important as we're focused on you guys are focused on creating efficiencies within your business. You know, Shannon actually also is a small business owner, and she's just going through some of the things that we'll probably be touching on today. But we want to create efficiencies and value for our users, Build Exact users, so that you can navigate any market challenge. So getting started with that, we want to be able to answer and customize this a little bit for you guys. So again, put in some information about where you're calling from and what you're doing, remodeling, custom home building, and then ping us with questions anytime, and I will probably be able to stop and answer those real quickly and address them to who is the most appropriate. But I want to be able to, at the end of the webinar, we'll definitely hear from our speakers about how to get in touch from them, but anything additional to add about who you are and where you're coming from, and I'll go through each one of you. Shannon, can you kick us off?
Yes, so I'm Shannon Vogel. I own a company called Reach Social, which is a social media company that specializes in the construction industry, which is pretty funny when you say that to someone that you meet at the airport and they say, "What do you do?" And you say social media and they get all excited. And then you say just for construction and they go, "Why?" And it's one of those things that's my path that I didn't plan for, but I'm so grateful that to be a part of the construction industry for 25 years. And I've been doing social media for 17 years. So I eat, drink, and sleep what you're going through, what your customers need to hear. And I was a former interior designer. So I have found my superpower to help you and your businesses with social media marketing.
Well, and also, Shannon, you're focused on that niche because it is a special and unique approach. And so, yeah, it takes something different. So Yaser, tell us more about you.
Hello, I'm Yaser, CEO and co-founder of BlueTape. We have business, financial, and payment solution for construction businesses, focusing on providing trade credit, factoring in line of credit for the businesses in construction. Prior to the company BlueTape, I've had 15 years of experience in construction. I was the general contractor doing a custom home and spec homes in Northern Virginia, DC area. And that's how I got into financing and payment for the construction, because myself and my family business experienced that firsthand from working in this space.
I love that. And you guys can all bring your individual experiences as practitioners within the space. And then as you've taken on new challenges to service those contractors. So that's really cool. And then Craig.
Hi there. Craig Webb, President Webb Analytics. I've been a reporter and a journalist all my life. For 12 years, I was editor of one of the biggest magazines in the country for lumberyards called Pro Sales, and 5 years as editor of a big magazine for remodelers called Remodeling. The last 6 years, I have run Webb Analytics, which is a consultancy and still an information company. My job is to look for trends and threats and opportunities in the construction supply space.
Awesome. Well, like I said, this is a great panel and I'm super excited for all you guys to be here. We're going to start this with a speed round, which means that you guys can only have one word or one phrase answer. So we're going to keep this really fast and to the point. And Craig, we're going to start with you, then go to Shannon, then go to Yaser. So alphabetical order, and we'll just keep it cycling through these first 5 questions. So true or false, we are preparing for 2025 to be better than 2024.
Yes.
True.
True.
Nice. That's very promising. I love that. One word to describe what you have experienced in the past 3 months.
Stasis.
Chat GPT abused.
Financial constraints.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Those are all very powerful answers. What will be the biggest challenge for this audience in the next 6 months? Craig?
Upgrading their operations without having dramatic increases in revenue or profits.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, this is a unicorn that we're talking about. Shannon?
I'm going to say overcoming a fear-based mindset.
I would say overcoming the economic uncertainties.
Yeah. Oof. So one resource that this audience should make sure to leverage to stay on top of trends.
I'd say they're buying groups.
Good.
Video.
Good.
National Association of Home Builders, probably.
Yeah. They are a good resource. And finally, true or false, builders should be committing extra resources and investment to automate processes.
True with an asterisk, and I can explain that later.
Okay, great.
Same. Mostly true.
Absolutely.
Okay, we had one true committed. I like it, Yaser. Thank you. And so thank you guys for doing the speed round. I know that's a good way to kind of set the premise for the rest of the panel. So that's a good intro. And again, you guys, if you're in the, if you're listening in, please send us questions and we can insert those into these moderated questions, which I'll start with you, Yaser. How are you looking at current economic forces that are impacting today's custom building and design build remodeling firms?
My question is how much time I have. I can go for hours. Well, there is a lot going on. And we have, on one hand, basically, we have the inflation is going on. On the other hand, we have inflation is coming down a little bit. We also have the interest rates. Interest rates are hopefully continue to go down. Those are going to be helpful, but I believe that given as the interest rates goes down, it's going to push the demand high. And I don't believe that we address all challenges around supply chain to be able to address the demand once the interest rate goes down, and we're going to hit and face another inflation challenge.
And Yaser, what did you mean by those supply chain demands? What specifically?
Not all of the supply chain challenges that we faced through pandemic were addressed. We still have a lot of supply chain challenges around construction material supply, wide range of aspects of it, wherever they are coming from, and there are different aspects to it. I think we're gonna talk about logistic is one of the biggest challenges that we will face. And we're going to see a lot more around manufacturing capabilities in the US, and also given that we are facing tariff and we might face more tariff depending on next administration. Those are going to create more challenges for the supply chain and prices of construction material. On the other hand, we are facing the fact that a lot of lenders, a lot of banks are tightening their underwriting requirements, and they're tightening their basically lending in all aspects of the industry, especially in construction. Last year, there was a study that showed 75% of banks have already tightened their requirements for construction loans. On the other hand, we have buy now, pay later companies that that started going to construction space to offer buy now, pay later solution for home renovations. A lot of them are also pushing their requirements higher comparing to 2 years ago or a year ago. So all of those are going to create some challenges around consumer access to capital for home improvement projects. And as we hear here and there, and every day, I would say construction companies face that. There's challenges around labor. Labor challenges are real in this space. Again, consider the fact that about, Craig, you can correct me if I'm wrong, about 30% of the workforce in construction are immigrant. Especially in Texas and California, that gets to 40–50%. So next administration and their immigration policies can significantly affect that shortage or can help with that. And what are other things that we are facing is consumers' taste or requirements for the homes and how they live in their homes and how they use their homes are changing. That also creates opportunities for remodelers and home builders. And in the housing market, trends are also different from different markets, from California to Washington, D.C., or where I'm recently in, from Texas to Illinois. These are all different markets, and builders and remodelers facing different challenges here and there. So I just try to give you a brief overview of what we are seeing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think related to that, Yaser, you didn't bring up regulatory challenges. And certainly I'm seeing stories, and I've been to some events recently in Texas and in Florida, in which counties are drastically increasing the impact fees that you may have to pay on a house. Moratorium. I see that, Dennis, you're serving the Texas area. I heard about Princeton, Texas, about 40 miles northeast of Dallas, where it was one of the better places for affordable housing, and they put a moratorium on there. We just had a court case in the Washington, D.C. area in Arlington County, Virginia, where people successfully fought the desire to create missing middle housing by allowing duplexes or triplexes on a single family lot. And people were fighting back by saying, oh, well, the sewage system isn't capable of handling that sort of thing. So it's not quite a surge in NIMBYism, but there is frankly a concern in growing parts of the country that we're growing faster than our infrastructure will permit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And then we're looking at where resources will be flooding right now. Flooding, oh, that was a bad choice of words. But resources will definitely be redirected to certain areas of the country right now to help with reconstruction. So that will certainly impact other places as well. But going back to, and you gave us the high level view, Yaser, but what would you say are the various levers that would give business owners more control over the risks that are involved in any of these challenges?
So that's a very good question, and the answer will be, to some extent, it varies based on where they operate. For instance, there are some of the builders, some of the remodelers that are working in the spaces that they can focus on niche market, more luxury projects. So those customers will have less sensitivity toward basically interest rates, and they can continue their projects without focusing on or without being affected a lot with interest rate. There are in other space that the builders might want to diversify their projects and work on remodeling and also custom builds, and to be able to diversify and reduce the effects of the interest rate. There are other space that where they focus, and especially if they go to a little bit down to the trade, they might be able to offer buy now pay later basically offers, and work with one of the buy now pay later companies to be able to offer more financing to their consumer. There are markets that buy now pay later, they won't have a good approval rates, or even if or there is not much demand for it. So a little bit different based on the geographic market and the type of customers that builders focus on and they have access to.
Sure.
Yaser, do you see a big increase in people taking out home equity loans as interest rates drop?
That's the biggest part of I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I was looking at it about a week ago. A big chunk of those home improvement projects are being financed through home equity loans or very similar project. Even if you look at the basically more affluent neighborhood, larger project or luxury projects, a lot of those wealthy customers leverage their other assets to get cash to do that. So interest rate will have effect, definitely will have effect, but obviously the higher tier customers, they'll be less affected by that.
Yeah. So Craig, you had brought up the regulatory issue, and Dennis in the chat was talking about how he's having trouble getting water to a job site, which is kind of shutting down the project. And I know that that's actually shutting down whole developments in Colorado and Arizona, where the city has limited new development based on scarce water supply. So it's an issue, and more so in other states, Dennis. So I'm sure you're bumming about that, but there's more challenges in other places. Craig, going back to the supply chain, you have certainly have a pulse on that. And what has your research shown about lead times, availability, substitutions?
Well, how people are feeling depends in part on how they were feeling 2 years ago, and whether they're feeling better or worse than things were then. And things were really, really bad back then. Consequently, I think there's a general perception in the industry that the supply chain is much, much better than it was before. Now, this port strike, some of the other issues with the flooding could cause an increase in lead times and the like. But actually, I think a lot of people are feeling pretty good. I was just at an event where people were talking about all the things that concern them, and supply chain didn't figure in that. It was regulatory. It was other things. So I think the delays that Yaser are referring to sometimes are things that my lumber yards and building material dealers don't provide, which is electrical converters and condensers and things like that, which have gotten to the point where it's taken so long to get those that there's no electricity in the housing development for people to plug in their drills and their electrical saws. They have to bring in battery packs and portable generators in order to get the work done, because the developer has not been able to get the infrastructure ready. So sometimes that's some of the delays, and that's not necessarily a lumberyard supply chain, but it is definitely part of the more general getting stuff built supply chain.
That's so interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. And it sounds like Jennifer just puts a comment in the chat that she says she does luxury remodeling. And she's saying that people aren't typically getting loans for that in this year, but then they're also being cautious with their money so that they're not doing these luxury remodels right now. So, what would you guys say, Craig, when you said that 2024 would be, or 2025 is going to be better than 2024, what can you tell her to be a little bit more hopeful about where that's headed?
Well, you didn't ask me how much better.
Okay. True.
And the answer may be 2% better, not dramatically better. It's generally believed that, in past times, we've had maybe a 20% increase in spending or whatever from one year to another. Not this time. Slow growth. And that's 2% better after a year in which we were down. So in some ways, we're just getting back to our previous level of activity. Now, Jennifer, I think you should feel better in the sense that if anything's going to be happening, it's going to be the upper 20% of the income bracket in this country. At the same time, the lower 40% of the income bracket they're the ones who are having trouble buying groceries and everything else. So if you're in industries in which sometimes they have to make repairs, be it a window gets broken, or you have hail damage, or you have something like that, roofing, a couple of other projects, those may be places where the buy now, pay later people are going to come into effect. But the top level of people are going to be the ones who are driving whatever Jennifer's business gets. And yes, they have been cautious. There's indications that there's more pushback over price quotes than there had been in the past. That's a Todd Tomalak thing at Zonda, you may recall.
Yeah, we can dig into that a little bit more, but also, Jennifer and some of our audience is probably doing custom projects, which means a lot of special orders. So how would you suggest those are managed, and how can contractors work a little bit more collaboratively with their retailers?
Well, doors and windows have historically been one of the special projects that have taken a lot longer. And compared with a couple of years ago, life's a lot better. Do people order doors and windows far enough and ahead right now? Probably not. And so you still have that challenge. Certainly, and the other is that just even getting the stuff delivered to you, given some of the weather conditions and everything else, is a challenge. The only thing you can do is get Mr. and Mrs. Customer to choose a door and window style early in the process and then not change their mind. And sometimes that's the hardest thing of all.
That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, right. What was that, Yaser?
That's one of the hardest thing for the builders to make sure their customers stick to. It's one of the hardest part, but then on the other hand, it's the opportunity to make more money on the project often.
Yeah. So you're saying that change orders do exist. So Yaser, you are offering trade credit, AR advance, and factoring to construction businesses. Why? Can you tell us a little bit more about this, and what's the impetus for that and how it's being received?
Absolutely. So our focus are builders, developers, subcontractors, and trades. And what we offer them through trade credit or AR advanced product is focused around the fact that the industry has 93 days sales outstanding. And that means between the day that these a lot of these contractors create their invoices, send it to their customers to get paid, there is a big gap, and they have to basically fund their operation using their cash flow, and that put a lot of pressure on their cash flow and working capital. What we put in place is a trade credit that helps these businesses to purchase their construction material from their suppliers So they don't need to put a significant amount of money down to buy their material. And also we have our advanced product that are alternative to factoring. So if they create an invoice, then basically send the invoice to the customer, they would get an advance on those invoices to be able to fund their projects in the operations in their payrolls and other activities while they're waiting to get paid. Industry is suffering from a lot of inefficiency around cash flow and working capital operation, and product like BlueTapes are designed to help these basically businesses in construction to be able to be more efficient around their access to their cash and improve their cash flow and financial basically profitability and financial operation of the business.
How long have those been offered, and how are they being received in the marketplace?
They're received very well. What we are day-to-day focused on is that there are a lot of opportunities around when we work with builders and custom home builders and even larger general contractors. They have variety of needs. The one part of their needs, depending on their project, again, it all depends on the project and where the builders or developers are sitting. If they're in California, the reality is that they can only charge maximum $1,000 to their customer. So they need to come up with a lot of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
But different markets are different. There are other places that they need to buy the material, deliver it to the job site, and then they can invoice the customer to get paid. They work with different construction lenders. Some of the construction lenders give them a little bit of flexibility with material being purchased and show that the material is on the job site. There are others that they need those material to be installed. If there are lumbers at the job site, they wanted to see their framing before releasing any funding to customers. Right. So it varies from here and there. There are needs at purchase of the material. There are financial needs at basically when they want it while they are invoicing the customer, waiting to get paid. There are others who use our product. We have a specific product called early payment program to be able to general contractors and builders to be able to advance to their subs while they're waiting to get a draw from the bank or getting paid by the homeowner or developers.
Yeah, you guys can all kind of speak to how you see this changing or loosening with the first interest rate drop and what you expect with the future interest rate drops as well. And Shannon, you've been really patiently waiting, so thank you so much. And what you have to contribute to the audience is super important, which is how can they connect with their homeowners, their buyers, or just on the remodeling projects too. So creating your brand is critical and also very complex. So what is trending in that space, Shannon?
So video is what's hot and trending, and that comes from a past of, if you think about when social media started, we could just get away with saying a couple of words, and then we had to add a picture, and then the picture had to dance and jump and get your attention. And the shorter our brains get, our attention span, the more we have to do things to grab people's attention, which is kind of sad for our brains, but it's really, really good for your brand and for your storytelling. So video is what's trending, and storytelling is what's trending, which is good because you have a unique story to tell. Jennifer, I'm sure you have differentiators and solutions that make you different from everybody else. So when people are trying to figure out where they are, when they're going to turn loose of that money and who they're going to turn loose of it with, help them choose you by telling your story and what sets you apart and what, why I want to give you all my money to create this thing.
How long do you think these videos should be?
It depends. So different platforms have different video requirements, but whatever length the video is, you need to grab their attention in the first 3 seconds. So no dilly-dallying at the beginning, like say what you want to say, or if you're going to do a before and after, show the after and then tell the story of how you got there, rather than asking someone to trust you and commit all the way through, like this is ugly before, and wait for me to get all the way to the end. So it depends on the platform and what you're doing. So if you're doing something where you're teaching someone how to do something, they're going to sit there and watch that as long as you're giving away free education. But it's what I tell people is just Google the answer. Like, how long should my videos be? It changes all the time and is different for every platform. But most people have a fear of video and they don't want to get into it because they think it has to be a big production with an expensive camera and experts and lighting and all of the things. If you're not doing video and you want to get started, you can be successful with a 30-second video. So just make it interesting in the beginning and then get to the point, because people, are shiny squirrels and they're scrolling and moving on.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is you can use your own phone.
Absolutely. Like, you can use your own phone, just make sure it's well lit and you're not shaking, because those things you can't fix in editing, but everything else, just be human. Like, people don't want it to feel like a paid commercial, because when our brains think about a paid advertisement and a commercial, we think you're trying to sell us something. But if you just tell a story with a video, then you're inviting me in to connect. And that's all human beings want. And that's the thing that people miss with social media. They forget that it's social and they forget that it involves human beings, and all human beings want is connection, period, end of discussion. So if you will remember a basic fundamental rule of giving away free, helpful advice with no strings attached and doing good in the world, you're going to be successful on social media. Yeah. But if you seem desperate and come out with, come buy from us, everything's on sale, like, people are going to keep scrolling. Draw me in and help me connect with you, and then I'm going to give you all of my money.
Yeah. A couple of things that relate to this. Jennifer, you may recall that when we were at the HERE conference, the people from
exactly
Google,
what I was thinking about.
Google said people in 2023 watched 30 billion hours, billion with a B, hours of shopping related videos. There were 300 million monthly views, 300 million views every month of home improvement content, 15 million monthly hours of content. So, obviously there's a market out there. Second, to Shannon's point about just not even being shaky or whatever, this is a $35 selfie stick with a gimbal on the top, which basically means that as you use it keeps things steady as you're working. $35 to put on your smartphone, and and you're much more professional looking than you would be otherwise. So in other words, it's not a huge investment, except maybe an investment of a little bit of time and practice, Shannon.
Exactly. And most people that are afraid of video, I just tell them practice. You can shoot all kinds of video and practice without posting it until you get comfortable with it. Most people avoid it because they're really good at what they do. And people don't want to show up doing video or social media because it's like being naked in public. Like, why would you risk your reputation of what you're really, really good at by doing something that you're not yet equipped or educated enough to know how to do? So just practice. But back to the video, if you are telling a story and you get someone to connect with you, all it takes is any kind of connection point. So if I see a video of someone that, wears glasses, big chunky glasses like this, or I have a bunch of tattoos, if I see that, I'm like, oh, you know me and you understand me. Or if you do a video that helps me understand that you know my lifestyle and you are the one that can provide the solution, you're going to be successful. But people don't remodel and don't build often unless you're like a building and remodeling junkie. But for most people, they don't do it often. So they don't know what's trending. They don't know the process. And who wants to jump into a process and spend a ton of money on something they don't understand? So if you can educate them in the process with video by showing, how the project works, how the process works, what you can provide. And if you're a remodeler, before and afters, I did 15 years worth of data comparison on the most popular types of content. People want to see before and after. They want to see, I have this builder white bathroom and you can get me a luxury spa retreat. You throw the company dog in there and you got a 2-for-1 and you're winning. So just think about the fears that the other person has on the other side and how you can provide a solution. People are afraid that they don't know what the process is like and they don't know what it's going to look like. But if you can help them through that process, then they're going to be loyal to you. They're not going to shop other places. And once you lower their guard, not their guard, but once you lower their worries about the process and what's going to happen, it's more comfortable and easier, and they're more confident in spending more money, which is going to help get them what they want, which is going to help them tell all of their friends, look how happy I am, come sit on my deck, come see my newly remodeled bathroom. And then, you know, the word of mouth gets going.
And I think this even goes to stuff where I've seen where you do a video about what your process is. You even tell people when you're bringing the dumpsters and how we're going to set them up, and when we need that, and even watch that stuff happen. There's so many people who have never been through a remodel that they don't think about those sorts of processes too. Or even, here's how we're putting down stuff on your floors to keep from scuffing up your floors.
Help make me, I'll call her Susie Homeowner, feel good that you are going to come into my house, you're going to take care and respect my house, I'm going to get what I want, and you're going to clean up on the way out. That's all women want. Just tell me you're gonna...
What? Where was the chocolate? No. No, but you guys are hitting some really incredibly important points. And Shannon, to your point about, you know, them not having that skill set, it's not baked into their, you know, being a tradesperson. And the same thing for what Yaser offers. You know, the finance aspect that's not their forte. So as much as you can rely on these service providers, and then also know where your weaknesses are. So how can you help identify that, and how you guys as service providers can help them identify that and then put them in a better position to be successful. So Shannon, speaking to that, what kind of platforms would you suggest that they prioritize with their promotions?
So it's not the same for everybody. First and foremost, I want you to remember to only manage social media sites that you can manage well. Don't sign up for everything just to be on it and then have no followers, no content, because it makes it look like you start things like a home remodeling project and then you abandon it. So only do the things that you can do well. Know who your audience is. If you specialize in custom showers for elderly people that need wheelchair access, Facebook is your house. If you are in, I don't know, the Bay Area, and you know, there's still like 25-year-old gazillionaires, like that's a whole different demographic. So know who your demographic is. But the end of the day, if you have to pick, Facebook and Instagram are your powerhouses, because Facebook has been around so long. It's a storytelling platform. The fastest growing demographic on Facebook is 55 to 65. So people with money are there spending a lot of time, but also the people that were on Facebook first left because their parents were, you know, trying to figure out, you know, asking questions like, what do you want in your lunchbox today? So they all left and went to a different platform, but now they've grown up. So again, know your demographic. Instagram is really important for our industry because it's visual. So if you have good photos of your projects, you're going to want to be on Instagram because it's all visual. If you do video, you're going to want to put your video on YouTube as the place that it lives. And then you take that YouTube link and go put that out other places. We love YouTube because Google owns it and prioritizes it. So, you know, think of Google, YouTube as your home base for where you want your videos to live. And then you can go put them out other places. But, you know, if you don't take away anything from today, video, and authenticity. What's happening, I love ChatGPT because it's helpful to people that can't write. It's helpful to people that have a little bit of creativity but need a little bit of boost. But as humans, we will get a hold of something and we'll screw it up, and we'll screw it up fast. And ChatGPT in AI is a good example of that. We're sort of ruining it quickly by trying to make it a stand-in for authenticity. So use ChatGPT, put your question in there, or say, help me write a short social media post on, you know, whatever it is that you want to talk about. Let them give you all of the ideas, but make sure that you keep your brand voice. Don't let it determine your voice. It has to match the experience that the person is going to have. So just use it as a tool, but check it and judge it to make sure that it sounds like you and feels like you. Because if people are overwhelmed and inundated with information, they're going to pick somebody that they can connect with, and people are going to connect with authenticity. So if you don't know who you are, figure out who you are, and then show up on social as who you are. And on that, back to video.
Shannon, can you give me an example of this though? Because, as a writer, I've always wondered about voice and authenticity. Are we talking about what kinds of words you use, how long your sentences are? What are you talking about here?
More the voice, like more the feel of it. If you are lucky enough to be a funny builder, use your humor. If that's one of your superpowers, use that. If you are warm and caring and give the best hug ever, not saying, hugging your clients. I mean, I would, but if you are a warm and fuzzy kind of person, use that warmth as your superpower and let that come across in your voice. If you are very technical and that is your superpower, let that be your voice. But what ChatGPT does sometimes is it's too in the middle. Like and right now the word on ChatGPT that you can tell that people are using it too much is elevate. It'll be the word elevate with an emoji on either side of it. It's a wonderful word. It is such a great word and it tells the best story. But when everybody's using it, then it sort of loses its power. But does that answer your question? Like whatever your superpower is of your personality, your brand personality, that needs to come through.
I think that actually requires that people analyze what they've written in the past and maybe even ask others, if you didn't know this person, what would you think of them?
Yeah.
By reading it. There have been all sorts of discussions, for example, about at what grade level should you write to?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. I think couldn't tell you a certain grade level, but what I can tell you is to be real and conversational. So however you have a conversation, that's how you should show up. Like if you show up structured, scripted, and trying too hard, that's how it's going to feel. But if you show up authentically as yourself, even if you don't know who you are and what your brand voice is, as long as it feels right and it's coming from your gut in the right place, that's going to translate across video and across social media. So like if you are I love listening to you and Yaser because your brains are so different and your expertise is so different from mine. So your voice should be completely different from mine. Like I try to cut up a little bit and be human to help people. People are worried about social media and they're nervous about it. So they don't know what to expect or what to do. So I try to, soften it and cut up a little, but that might not be received well with technical economic information, But also I think, Craig, one of your superpowers is you have a personality and you're funny and you're clever. So you make me want to listen to economic things. So just that goes back to the whole be who you are.
Dismal scientist made happy. Yes.
This is good. This is so good. And I'm going to try to move us along a little bit because we still have a little bit to cover and not a lot of time. So Shannon, I would be very dense if I didn't realize that you are prioritizing video. But there are other mediums like texting, emailing, website, apps. So are you just suggesting you incorporate video in all those different mediums, or how are you using those others? And do you have a percentage of ways to leverage those?
So that's a great question. And I'm gonna give you a big answer that hopefully covers the whole thing. Just like I told you with social media sites, get on the ones that you can do well and you can manage well. You want to be on different social sites in particular because they're different brain types. So the people that want to watch video. The people that don't like video are going to want things that are still in static. So try to be on all the things that you can. If you can manage it, do a text chat on your website. If you can do email marketing, add that. Because the more places you are, people need to see you. I think it's past 21 at this point. It used to be 21 times before they're going to start buying what you're selling. They got to see you everywhere. So they need to see you on Google, on social, email marketing. Text, I think, is very valuable and important, but know your demographic and give people the option. There's certain things that I want to receive a text about because that I'm going to do the thing that you're asking me on my phone. And there's certain things that I want emailed because I'm going to do it on my desktop. So be mindful of what you're putting out, but try to be as many places as you can that you can do well. So you reach everybody and all the different brain types and mindsets.
Shannon, are you seeing any trends toward people stopping to not reading email anymore and only reading texts, even from their friends?
Oh yeah. I mean, people like humans ruin everything. Like we get a hold of something and people throw out statistics and say how great email is and you should post it, Monday morning at 9 a.m. and then it gets flooded and then people move on to other things. I mean, there's
Don't ask Yaser,
definitely
we
email
saw
burnout.
his inbox.
Oh yeah. But I also tell people do the same thing that you do with social that you do with email. I will spend 30 minutes every month at the beginning of the month unfollowing things on social and unsubscribing from newsletters that no longer serve me so that my feed and my inbox is exactly what I want. Because otherwise, I heard the other day that our brains are processing in one day the amount of information that we used to process in a lifetime. We're getting it all in one day. So be very, I think people are more discerning about what they're letting in their space. So again, make your content good, make it interesting.
So true.
That brings up something like House, which theoretically is all remodeling all the time. You didn't bring up House before.
How so? Yeah. Yeah.
I did not bring up House because, let me give you the pluses first. So it's good because it's visual. It's a great place for you to put your projects and people spend a lot of time on there. The problem is when they started selling things on there for our clients that we create their content and manage their social media presence, that's competing with what they're actually selling. So if you're a retail supplier, that's a no-go for me because it's competing. If you are a remodeler and you have to have a good system and process, because what's going to happen if your client is on House and they're like, yeah, but I found this faucet on House. I want to get it from them instead of from you because it's on sale. So I think it's a good platform, but you also have to weigh the risks of you can shop on there.
Yeah, there's commercialization aspect that everybody's chasing. So
yeah, I'd have a website gallery. I'd put a gallery of photos on your website.
Yeah, good point. So moving on, I want to have a couple questions where it's not speed round, but if we can keep it a little bit limited. There are new technologies popping up all the time. And actually, to the point that you're just making, I read the story this morning in Fast Company that Yelp is now home services, like really took a fix on home services. 20% of all their searches are home services, which is more than their restaurant reviews. 17% on Yelp is restaurant and 20% is home services.
Wow.
So yeah, home improvement and services. So Yelp is the new platform that our listeners have to be thinking about and being aware of and be listed on. But those new technologies are popping up everywhere to create efficiencies and value engineer processes. And what are you guys tracking on? And what would you recommend to our audience? And we'll start with you, Yaser.
Sure. So for us, I'll look at it from our angle or our business perspective. When we start working with a builder or developer or a trade or sub, it's more around their efficiency and data flow throughout their company, especially when it comes to their AR and APs and financial efficiency. So I'll give you example. For instance, we see one example that I saw a couple of weeks ago with one of our customer. They have bought 40 projects. They made a custom project management. They use one of the generic project management tools. They built a custom process. It was so neat and clean that you could see all their projects, what stage they are, and they do projects that normally takes them other companies a week. They do it in a day. They deliver the material, they go in, they do it, come back, invoice their customer and process their payment and take it from there. They're so efficient. And today's tools, there are a lot of tools that they can either specific for construction or generic project management. Again, same thing around their account receivable, account payable. There is a lot that they can do and improve their efficiency, financial efficiencies for their financial health. And even when they need to basically work with financiers, banks, or businesses like us that provide trade credit, line of credit, it would be very helpful to have such a process, an automated process, we would be more helpful to them.
Yeah, perfect. And what about a technology from your perspective, Craig?
I've got three from oldest to newest. The oldest is inventory management software. My building material dealers need to get ever better at knowing exactly how many products they have in stock, because when you're going online, you want to know if the product is available. So for online services, at the very least, you need better inventory management. The second one is pricing software, both to be aware of what other people are charging, as well as how you can tweak your own prices to get the best possible price, the best possible number of dollars from your customer. And then I think the new one that's coming on, we're seeing in Europe and other countries, is digital price tags. I think that those have a lot of possibilities, if only because of point of purchase advertising, among other things. So those are the three technologies I would say.
Shannon?
So from a social media standpoint, I might as well address video software. CapCut and Splice are two that we use. And then my favorite is Loomly, which is software that allows you to create an editorial calendar, schedule your posts to go out on all of the platforms, reporting, analytics, and conversation management. So you literally can manage all of your social media in one place. And it's incredibly efficient and will help make the process more enjoyable.
Awesome. So we're going to do a final lightning round, and then I want to give you guys the opportunity to let the audience know how to get in touch with you and where to follow you so that they can get more of your expert advice. So final lightning round, we'll do a different order this time. We'll start with you, Shannon, and then Yaser, and then Craig. Name one solution to labor challenges that everyone can benefit from.
Shifting to an artisan mindset.
Yaser?
I would say anything that helps them automate the process, given that we have a labor challenges.
Yeah. Craig?
Change your attitude from being a salesperson to being a customer's problem solver.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Shannon, what part of the process could benefit most from automation?
Safety.
Yaser?
Oh, I can say almost everything. Almost everything, especially with new AI tools that are coming out. Almost everything from their CRM, from their content, basically marketing stuff, from their AR automations, from estimating and budgeting tools, even visualizing the basically final product for the customer, so customer can see what they will get. Run project management, construction site monitoring, and basically anything that is around monitoring the job site and progress. So I would say everything.
Loans.
Already changing.
I would say more information sharing up and down the supply chain, from builders to dealers to suppliers and back down again. The fewer surprises everybody has about where things are and when they'll arrive, the better off everybody will be.
Oh yeah, more efficiencies right there. Okay, name the biggest home design trend that will fuel growth for builders and remodelers in 2025. Shannon.
I want to say biophilic design, like bringing nature inside.
Yeah. Yaser?
Well, we had a webinar a few months ago, and one of the basically guests was emphasizing on the fact that they are seeing, based on surveys, they're seeing a lot of push from the customers toward product use that does not have negative health effect on the owners, and they're becoming more health conscious, from the insulation to the type of paints and all the material that they're using. We are even seeing there's not us, there are experts are seeing pushback toward porcelains and quartz in the kitchens, and more push toward the natural stone and natural materials.
Yeah, for sure. Craig?
This is a big home design trend, but I don't think it's necessarily one that's going to build growth. Smaller homes.
Yeah, it is definitely a trend, and I think that another trend that we have to keep an eye on and understand how to leverage as professionals is resiliency. So how can my home withstand the next flood, withstand the next, yeah, just whatever is coming your way in terms of climate change. So fill in the blank. I expect business to grow by what in 2025? And I think we already addressed this answer a little bit, but Shannon, what's your forecast?
I'm smart enough to stay in my lane. I'm going to pass this to the two experts.
Perfect. Yaser.
It all depends on the market they're in.
Yeah.
Markets that are going to grow faster, there are markets that are going to grow slower.
Sure.
Craig should have a national view on that.
And nationally, maybe 2%.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Craig, landing with you. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to our audience for joining us. Craig, how can they sign up for the Webb Analytics newsletter, which is awesome? Everybody should be receiving that. And where else can they follow you?
Well, if you go to Webb, W-E-B-B, two B's, webb-analytics.com, you can sign up for the newsletter, start reading my content. I also do all my headlines and hot news on LinkedIn. That's Shannon, that's turned out to be my best source, and just under Craig Webb.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. And Shannon, how about you?
So I'm obviously on all the socials as Shannon Vogel, and all the socials for Reach Social. You can find the links to our social on reachsocial.media, not .com. And I put all of my free advice on Floor Covering Weekly. I do a video series and a column that you can get more free advice than you could probably stay on.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll have to sign up for that. I have not receiving that yet. And then Yaser.
For us, BlueTape.com, our blog is bluetape.com/blog. And if someone wanted to reach me, Yaser at BlueTape.com.
Thank you again, you guys. This is awesome information, and thank you to our audience for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Bye-bye.